Yeah? Motors. That is an awesome example. What is an actuator? Let us not run on quickly. What is an actuator? Yes. I want to describe microcontroller in a way. What is an actuator? Anyone? What is an actuator? Yeah? Output devices necessarily. Yeah. Examples of actuators. Yes. LED is an actuator. Yeah. Yeah, water pump is an actuator. Any other example? Yeah, motors. Yes, sir. Any other? Yes, Justin. Motor is the same one. Yes. Yeah, relay is also an actuator. Yeah. This. Yeah, this is an actuator. But before we move on, relay. We have mentioned relay. What is a relay? We're trying to do that. Relay. Relay. When tulikuwa hiyo light automation, si ukiingia kwa hiyo room yenye light na automatic, simesikia ka click plan, yeah, some little click inakuwa haka kitu kamefichwa somewhere inside that component. So ukisikia hiyo click anywhere when it comes to automation inakuwa the relay motor. Hii ni heat shield relay iko na nani? Yeah, very nice. Hiyo ingine pia. Yes, what? So this is a 4-shield relay, and this is the single relay. Yeah. Passing out, look at the components. So what is a relay? What is a relay? Yeah? Yeah, simple and term. A relay is just a switch. Yeah? Here switch inasaidia when the microcontroller sends a signal. Here inasaidia to act as a switch. Your microcontroller necessarily inatuma the signal like what language do computers implement and communicate? But the software engineers does. Anyway, yeah, binary, yeah, binary. Ones and zeros. Yeah, ones and zeros. So necessarily, when a controller communicates ones and zeros, your command, come on, I'm ready to find it to die, to send a one. Yeah, to send a one signal. When the output is another channel that will create it send the zero signals here. So when it sends the one, you will be like the motion. It's in the sense motion. You have motion of a person, controller to the relay to the actual light. Yeah? The command doesn't be why the light is not connected directly to the microcontroller. Why do we need it directly? Yeah?
Control is
Control is AC.
yeah.
Not necessarily. It is just an answer. Yeah? High voltage. Yeah. So it's interesting. Começamos a chance in between the two analysis. What is the purpose of a relay in an automation system?
One, two, take one, two.
Yes?
One, two.
High voltage devices. Assuming it's a switch used to switch on and off high voltage devices. Anyone else? It's a switch. It's a switch. Yeah? Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. It's an electromagnetic switch. The relay is the magnetic switch. La magnetic switch. Current the voltage current in a light magnetic switches. You're changing you're happen that you're transmitting energy. Then it changes. So back to the equation. Why do we not connect the values directly to the microcontroller? Why do we need a link between? Yes? Yeah? I got it. It is the answer. Anyone else? Interesting answer. Close to Korea. Tunaguzia the answer. Tunaguzia the answer. Yes? Yes? Like I said, DC and AC. Okay? Interesting, yeah? It's a switch. It's a switch. What is it switching? Why is it switching? Why do we need the switching between the microcontroller and the guidance? Yeah. It's over. Yeah. What is the purpose of the relay in important the relay in between the microcontroller and the actuator is? It's over. Yes, over. Yes, over. Any other ideas? Yes, Justin. Do tell. Yeah?
I still need to make work easier. Communication.
Owls, why do we need a relay in between the microcontroller and the bulb? It's a switch. Signal deal and steam. Na current na voltage. Why do we need the switch in between? First of all, let's start back Delta. The microcontroller say, na mtu ako na idea inatumia voltage ya kiasi gani? Yeah, 3 to 5 volts. Voltage inatoka kwa inatoka supply to buildings inatoka how many volts? Yeah? 240. Ndio. 240 microcontroller ina operate na 5. 3 to 5. Actuator, the bulb, inahitaji how many volts? Hizo bulb kwa unanunua za mwanga zinaandikwa yeah? 9 yeah? Mwangalia ni box kwa. Natoa tu tu box kwa kanda. Yeah? 12 we're almost there. Anyone? Yeah, isolation. What are we isolating? Yeah? High current. Anyone else? Alois, man. Alois, the mtu wambie. Alois, Zetech. We need the brains active before we get to the next session, yeah? Really. Yeah.
And I think the relay allows the microcontroller to be able to control maybe the lights.
Yes.
Regulating the high electricity current.
There you are, like so you saw it when you fast. Read to us the answer.
So, really, the purpose of a relay is it allows the microcontroller to be able to control the different devices connected through the relay. It also helps to regulate the high current produced from the power source.
Yeah, that is a necessary answer. Now, can someone tell me why do we have why is this one separate? Why do we need like 4, 8? Why do we need the shield? Let's use an example. Switch, yeah, it's a switch. Kuna hizi lights. Hii switch hapa inaweza hizo lights hiyo nyingine. Yeah, hii switch ni hizi hapa. So like the reason as to why we have the shield is that each relay, when it comes to house automation, each relay inakuwa na section yake ya automate. Yeah? You know, let's say for example, let's use the four shield relay. The four shield, here kwanza unaweza ku automate the lights. Here pili unaweza tumia ku automate nyingine. Yeah? Yeah, pump. Charger pump unafanya nini pump kwa?
Piga maji kwa tank.
Yeah. Fossil. What are we automating?
Gas.
Gas. Interesting.
Maybe, for example, for maybe a water filter in the house.
Water filter in the house. Interesting. But yeah, so let us walk away from the relay per se. Yeah. So right now everyone understands ukipatana na relay mahali ama ukipita mahali kuna any automation ya lights alafu usikia click unajua ni nini. Yaka kitu kamoja. Kitu kamoja. The miniaturized version of this kuna circuits zingine jo when it comes to design board hautatumia this per se. Imekufa mguu mmoja. Kuna transistor. This is a big one. In MOSFET. In operating the same principle as the relay. So when it comes to the switches, that is a somewhat miniaturized version here. Yeah. It's not mechanical for the boards. Hata like hizi boards za Arduino kuna the miniaturized version kuna ingine ndogo zaidi ya hiyo. But for TV in your own button, what happens? There is a transistor in between. Tunasaidia hiyo switch. It transitions the power from the source to the actual screen. We make it turn on. Yeah? Is that Arduino?
Yeah.
Are we good to go?
Yeah, sure.
Why do we automate? Why do we automate? Why do we automate in the first place? Yeah? Network easier? Yes? Reduce? Repetition of common tasks.
Efficiency. For efficiency.
For efficiency.
Make machine
Position, anyway. Yes.
machine work automatic.
To make machines work automatic, yeah?
7 power.
Yeah?
Power.
Power.
7 power.
To save on power. Save on power. And also cost. So in an aspect, that's a zane. Remember towards confidence, like to reduce work. But necessarily the reason as to why people push over towards automation, it is to improve efficiency. So in a session you did previously somewhere else, I mentioned that. So the reason as why we automate is not when you want to automate. Don't automate something. When you find something to automate, don't look at it in the aspect of comfort. You may increase comfort. Look at its efficiency. What is it producing? Yeah? You may mention a lot of aspects when it comes to save on power. This one? Elimination, efficient, yeah? It all links towards efficiency. You're trying to make a system more efficient. Yeah? Every aspect you like. See, because we, yeah.
It also helps with production.
This production. Yeah?
In industry.
Industry. So when you look in an aspect of light, the light automation. See, because switch to a near it's not automated. See, you know that's I want to pay 1K, I walk up and still. See, when we have the automation, when you walk out, the lights will sense the motion and will turn on. That has improved efficiency when it comes to it improves comfort well. Yeah? It improves comfort because they are not there. it has just increased the efficiency when it comes to the automation. So when you look at automation, always look at it in the terms of personally, let me not say you always. Personally, I always look at it in the aspect of efficiency. How are we making that system to be more efficient? When you look at it in that aspect, it is easier for you to get ideas, ama spark ideas. Ukijaribu kuangalia the aspect of comfort, utakuwa in the aspect of your own personal comfort. But when you look at it in the aspect of efficiency, utakuwa unaangalia in a broader view. You can get more ideas when you look at how to make a system more efficient. Yeah. Okay. So I would like to hand it over to Mr. Arduino. He will lead us in a session. Yeah. Yeah? What is the difference? What is a Raspberry Pi, first of all? Have we come across the term Raspberry Pi? Yeah? Have we seen the word? Do you have a Raspberry? Sadly, it's a good day, but let's talk about Raspberry for a minute, yeah? Raspberry Pi is also a microcontroller, yeah? But it's somewhat a bit of an advancement, an advanced microcontroller in a sense. What language do we use to code the Raspberry Pi? Yeah? Python. Yeah? So, Raspberry Pi is somewhat of a more advanced microcontroller. You can actually create like a mini computer with the Raspberry Pi. That is how powerful the microprocessor is. But in a sense, they are all microprocessors. It doesn't make a kind of great system. But today, you're focusing on Arduino. Yeah? So Arduino Day. Let us appreciate and celebrate the Arduino as a microcontroller. But if you have other questions regarding any other microcontroller, you can still talk about it. Okay?
Good afternoon. Mko poa? For your information, tuko live on YouTube and yeah, you can share the link pia kwa wenye waja make ku attend the physical session. Sasa, so I think you guys do you know me? Who doesn't know me? Yeah. Only 3 people. Unanijua? Hata mjaniona kwa TV. So my name is Fred, but some people call me Mr. Arduino, which is good. So on TikTok you can follow me at Mr. Arduino. Hapa. Yeah. So basically I'm the founder of 2 companies. One is called Arduino Kenya Limited and another one is called Extrabotic. Sorry, today is not about Extrabotics, but it's about Arduino. So what is Arduino? You have already said, so I can choose any random person to tell me what is Arduino. Cindy, what is Arduino? Microcontroller. What does it do? What does it do? What does the microcontroller do? Mkiona hii time mezima mniambie. Sawa. What does it do? So basically, to save you on your time, Arduino is a microcontroller which was discovered ama implemented ama invented in which year? Which year? Which year? Which year? Usiwaambie which year? Basi kama mjui hiyo nitarudi tu nikaa chini. ChatGPT nasemaje? Yes. People. Nice. Tell me the names of hey, who you are Kosai. You are promoted to the next class. Any name of any, do you know any name ya mtu mwenye fall within the kwenye ile event? Masimo Banzi, si ndio? Kuna mwingine, there's another guy called anaitwaje? Martino. Danluca Martino. David Catuelas. So walikuwa watu 5, si ndio? So these guys they used to meet in a bar. Kama mlifanya homework vizuri, they used to meet in a bar ama restaurant. Alafu they discuss. Actually they were learned, si ndio? They used to discuss about mambo na PLC. Hiyo time kulikuwa na PLC. So for you in those years, for you to just blink LED, turn on LED and off, you needed to be well learned, like unajua concept zote za engineering. But now these guys they thought maybe of coming up with a system or a platform whereby they can make it so simple for anyone to venture into that field of embedded system. Actually ukishajua kutengeneza hizi vitu, you can even call yourself embedded engineer, embedded system engineer. Sawa. So these guys now they came up with what is it called, with this module called a microcontroller called Arduino. So hiyo bar ilikuwa inaitwa aje mali walikuwa wana meet? Arduino baridirani brain rot ile inaitwa aje? Banana tralala ati inaitwa Arduino, inaitwa Arduino, ilikuwa inaitwa Arduino actually, mtaenda mfanye msome. So but sasa wakasema hii microcontroller tuite Arduino, so waliongeza less I with O. So and then they made it to be open source. Actually that is why we are here, si ndio? Saa ngapi saa hii? 39. So 30 minutes, si ndio? So utaniambia kibaki 5 minutes. So they came up with the open source. So what is open source? Open source. Basically, open source is like a platform where other people can contribute. Like for example, Arduino is an open source. Okay, we have other types of open source. Sijui kama mnajua any. Kama C++, I think it's open source. So open source, you develop something and you can invite people to do what? To contribute, to even make changes without them needing any permission or maybe paying for anything. But they do. So Arduino, they made it to be open source. Yeah, to be open source. That means anyone can use Arduino board to make a project. Then they can do what? They can patent that project. Acha niwape example. Mnajua example ya milk ATM. Do you know milk ATM? You can make milk ATM with a budget of less than 5k. Kutengeneza hiyo kitu, it's very simple, and one milk ATM it's around 40-50k. Mnaweza google tu hapo milk ATM price in Kenya and then how much. And that one milk ATM actually it's made on Arduino Nano. Unajua Arduino Nano it's very small, iko tu hapo nyuma nitaona. Very small. And unatengeneza kitu kama hiyo, then you make it you can even patent it. Kupatent kama unajui kuna kitu inaitwa IP, intellectual property, whereby you can patent. Maybe you have an idea you want to do what? To maybe quit. Yeah. So maybe like for example you make it milk ATM. No, patent so that no one else can develop such a thing. And now you are patenting something which is on a open source platform. Another thing, you can make your own Arduino. By the way, for me, I usually make my own Arduino. Sijui kama nimebeba moja. So you just buy some few components, the IC, 22 picofarad capacitor mbili, nini ingine, 16 megahertz crystal oscillator. Actually those, and maybe you can add a 10k ohm resistor. With the less than 500, you can make your own microcontroller. And in fact, I can make that microcontroller and brand it my name. I can call it Extrabotics. So, yani amuoni huko. Call it Extrabotics. Nichajia hii hapo. Call it Extrabotics, and then, or my name, maybe Fred, and then I release it to the market, and then I don't need to tell Arduino. Sijui kama mshiona Arduino boards zimeandikwa Levin, Arduino Levin, maybe other names, si ndio? Key Studio, yeah, you can do that. That's why we have open source. And open source ni mingi sana. So you can contribute, you can suggest, you can build anything. Is there any question? Okay, by this kuambia mimi am a teacher, a robotics trainer. So mkisikia nikiongea kama mwalimu ama nikiuliza maswali, sawa. Sawa. So you said we have 5 beginners. How many people beginners they have never interacted, or maybe they're starting? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Nimehesabu 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Intermediate, ninyi wengine obvious. Ama intermediate. Expert ama advanced. Advanced, tuseme tu advanced. Kama msee ni advanced huyu, hata ni expert hivi. Yeah, expert. Nice. Sawa. So lazima ni balance kidogo, si ndio? Lazima ni balance kidogo. So basically nitaongea beginner level na intermediate. Advanced tutapatana karumu kengine pale hivi nyuma ya tent. So okay, takuna nifinya next. So okay, these slides nilikuwa nazitumia kwa Extrabotics, but they are related to what we are doing next. So number one, if you want to venture into Arduino, you have to understand the Arduino components. I'm not going to stay here much because nimeona hapa we have several components. Let me just mention something. Number one, before you work with on any component, let's for example say this one is called expert. The scientific name HC, nani anajua? Wewe unajua nilikwambia HCSR04. So inamaanisha like lazima ujue ndani. Unajua okay, you can build on a project on using the ultrasonic sensor, but ujue ndani there. So number one, before you work on a project with any component maybe you have never worked with, you go on Google, you add new tab, you search ultrasonic datasheet. Unajua what is datasheet? A datasheet is a document which will have the specifications, even the circuit diagram. But then do you know, for you to build such a project or a module, you have to understand the datasheet because even the circuit, you can even buy easy peke yake, then you can build on your own. You can build your ultrasonic sensor. You just need these amplifiers, and then from the datasheet you can understand the working principle, the operating temperature, voltage. Like for example, in operate at what voltage? Unaona, sasa mnaweza ichoma anytime kama mjui operating voltage yake. Actually it's around 3 hata 5 iko sawa, yeah. So saa zingine kama ujui una assuming ina operate at 5 volts, maybe one time utakuwa na 3 volts na utasema siwezi make your project unarusha. Again, expert, what is this? PR, what does it stand for? PR, personal personal international PR. Wewe unajua ni passive infrared. There's another name, lakini ni ngumu kwangu, mta search. So what is the operating voltage of this sensor? Mwenye atapata hiyo haki nitajua wewe ni mnono. The range. So Google the range. 3 to 6, no. The range. Actually the range is 3 to 20 volts. Unaweza imagine na kitu kunaweza power na 20 volts. Unaweza imagine. But basically since Arduino ina operate at 3, saa zingine 5, actually ina operate at 5, but sometimes kuna 3 volts za ESP. Yeah, you can assume ina operate at 3 ama 5 volts. Sawa. So you have to understand the in depth. Like for example, let me give you an example. We have a sensor, not a sensor, but a module called HC12. So there's a module called HC12. Not 12, 05. What is that? HC05. Again, yes. Yeah, nice. Bluetooth module. So Bluetooth module iko na pin ngapi? Iko na pin 5, si ndio? Iko na ground is just negative, VCC ni positive, TX na RX, si ndio? Which other pin do you know? Iko na 6 pins, si ndio? Now lakini watu wengi generally wana use only those 3, but iko na other 2 pins. So if you are venturing into robotics, you have to ask yourself, lazima ukuwe curious so that unajiuliza hizi pin mbili za nini. Like for example iko na mbili, hiyo nyingine ni state na AT, ama saa zingine inaitwa EN ni enable. So I think nani ashaitumia hizo pin mbili? Maybe you could build another project. No one. Now you see the reason why you need to kujua ni what they are used for. Now EN mode or AT, it's used to enter AT mode. AT mode is basically programming mode whereby you can change the name of the Bluetooth and you can change the password. There's a system machine installed mahali shule fulani hapo hivi nilikuwa nafunza. So na password ilikuwa 1234. So nilikuwa naingia class hivi. Nasema lights on, zinawaka. Nikitoka lights off. Sasa sijui student walijua aje. Wakajua ni Bluetooth, password ni 1234. So nikiwa tu class wanazima, wanasha. Kama kale kamimka unazima. So what happens? If you know how to use that AT mode, you can even go and program, even change the name of the Bluetooth device. And also you can make a system like master slave whereby unaweza kuwa na system moja hapa na nyingine kwa gate. So let's assume tuko na hapo kwa gate kuna doorbell na receiver ni hapa, badala ya kurun wire refu hapa mpaka hapa. Do you know 2HC05 they can do that? So you configure one to be master and slave hapa, akifinya hapo inatuma wirelessly. Another thing you can now the state. Nani anaweza niambia state ni nini? The state pin. Poleni beginners tunakuja. The state pin ni kazi gani? State. So state basically kuna kitu inaitwa debugging. Debugging ni kama kuangalia if we have some issues with our code ama anything we are doing. Now if your system your HC05 is connected to either a phone, state pin inaenda high, it will be high, so that you can even connect an LED from that pin. Let's assume I'm controlling my robot hapa. Nikiona hiyo LED imezimika, I'll know there's a problem in connection. Sawa. So the reason why I was saying that so that you may start downloading the datasheet. Actually for me niko na file moja kubwa hivi nimeandika Arduino datasheets. So kitambo kuna job nyingine ilikuwa na printer na ulikuwa na paper mingi. So nilikuwa naenda na print hizo vitu naziweka tu hapo kwa ofisi, lakini sasa hivi siko huko, siwezi waste papers, but ni vizuri ukuwe na kitu kama hiyo una document. Yeah, those are several components, but that is for a robot next. So This is our Arduino board. Actually, the major Arduino board is called, the most common Arduino board is called Arduino Uno. Arduino Uno, si ndio? Nataka mtu confirm kama hii. Unaweza confirm kama hii sauti kwa YouTube iko sawa kwa simu yako. So, Arduino Uno is basically a microcontroller. Microcontroller, I want you to imagine your brain. Your brain has sensors. Like for example, nikifunza naitanga mwanafunzi mmoja hapo namwambia sasa tuassume wewe sasa okay, yeah. Tuanze kuanalyze sensors okay, lakini msi-analyze na mimi, nataka mfikirie. Sensors like for example in a human body kuna sensor, kuna input na output, ndio? Okay, input ni sensors. For example kama nini? Any organ yenye inakaa kama sensor? Skin, nice. Eyes, ears, nose, tongue. Okay, hizo ni sensor. Actuators ama output devices. Actuators. Hands, shingo. Legs, ndio zina move, ndio? So nikifunza computer kitambo, nikifunza computer basics, tunasoma input and output devices, but sasa using a human analogy ilikuwa noma kiasi juu inputs za zingine ni outputs, ndio? For example, eyes ni inputs, ndio? Eyes inaweza kuwa output. Eyes yes, ndio? Hapana, ukianza kulia, si unalia na macho. Ukianza kutoa zile vitu hivi zinaitangwa aje? Haya, nose ni input, ndio? Una smell. Na ukianza kutoa makamasi. Okay. So basically it will read sensors, inputs. Sensors we have analog and digital. Analog ni variable which changes from 0 to 1023 ama 24, 1023. Ndio. Digital ni either 0 or 1. Sawa. 0 or 1. Like for example, this light is an example of digital output because it's either iko on ama off. Haiwezi kuwa hapo katikati. Lakini kuna zingine unaweza vary the brightness using a potentiometer. Ndio? Okay, then controls, motors are outputs, lights, displays, hizo ni outputs, then runs programmed instructions. So you have to program using a programming language which is C. Okay, for Arduino is C and C++. But if you want to learn Arduino, don't go and learn C. Just learn C++, which is an it's improved C. Actually, when you wanajua programming kidogo, plus it means increment, ndio? So wali design C alafu wakaona iko chini, hatujaweka kitu inaitwa OOP, object oriented programming, hizo object classes. Wakasema we need to come up with another programming language. Badala waite another name, maybe ikae kitu different, wakaita C na wakasema plus. So you can learn C++, then Arduino. Next, any question? Kama uko na swali niulize. So you have to understand the pins of the microcontroller. Like Arduino, you can power it in 3 ways. Number 1, using USB port. Number 2, using V-in and ground. Number 3, using DC jack. Unaona hiyo power jack? You can use it to power Arduino. Sawa. Then you need to understand the pin. Kuna pin, analog pins na digital pins. Like for example, pin number 0 and 1. I don't like using them. Na pin number 13. Pin number 0 and 1, you can't, if you have connected any module to those pins, you have to unplug every time you are uploading. To avoid that, you can use another library called software serial. But hizo vitu zinakuja tu pole, utasumbuka tu kianza beginner. Ukiendelea kuwatch more videos, you are going to learn. Then pin number 13, I don't like that pin, but simbaya. But if you are using pin number 13, make sure, okay, probably you are supposed to use it with an output device like a relay ama LED. You know why I don't like using that pin? Sijui kama ni mimi peke yangu. Juu anytime you reset that pin, itaenda high haraka. Let's assume you had connected a sensor hapo. like for example a sensor like DHT11, that sensor is 3 volts tolerant na connect hapo, na unajua ni sensor ni input device to the microcontroller, so inapeleka kwa microcontroller. Anytime you plug in ama you turn on the Arduino, inaenda high haraka, so it's like sending to the sensor, which is not good, and in fact it's sending 5 volts and the sensor is 3 volts tolerant. So if you can avoid that pin, it's well and good, unless your project work it's not that much sensitive. So it operates at 5 volts. It has 14 digital pins. Microcontroller is called ATmega 328PU. So that is very key, because if you want to make your own microcontroller, you have to use that 328 analog pins. Clock speed is 16 megahertz. Okay, it has a crystal oscillator and 22 picofarad capacitors. Any question? Next. Yeah, what can I build? Smart home system, robots, IoT. Like sahi msikue hapa na ukiingia kwa nyumba yako unachuna ukuta. Ukiingia kwa nyumba yako unafaa kusema lights on zinawaka. Ukitoka unasema lights off. And in fact bado kama unafanyanga hivyo, you have a long way to go. Unafaa ukiingia na notice umeingia, inawasha taa, ukitoka ime notice umetoka, inazima. Na in case umesahau, ukiwa from anywhere in the world, you can use your phone to turn off and on maybe. Sawa. It's very possible using Arduino, but more advanced using a board called ESP32 and 3266. That is called IoT. You can even make robots. You can make agriculture systems whereby maybe it's automated by moisture level ikienda chini, inatuma signal to the relay, which will turn on the pump to start irrigation, and you can monitor from anywhere in the world. So next, nadhani ni mchezo, ni uongo. So a breadboard. So for a beginner, you have to understand what is a breadboard. A breadboard basically, basically a breadboard actually it's called a prototyping board, whereby you design your circuit there. Then once you have designed your circuit, let's assume ni sensor. So for a beginner, kuna kit nimeona, okay, ikwangi ya carton, lakini kitu kama hii iko na hizi sensor mingi, vitu mingi. So for a beginner, you need to work on a different project. Like for example, with this sensor, but this is the only sensor I have seen which can build on many projects. Sijui which other sensor. Like for example, you can make an automatic hand wash. Which other? Water level in a tank automation, which other? Blind stick, obstacle avoidance car, which other? Smart dustbin. Yeah, actually that was one of my first projects. Hata nimepina hapo kwa my TikTok, nikiweka naona watu wanasema kwa comment section, you are creating more problems. Where will we practice basketball? So basically, what you need to do, you need to work on this project hizo zote. So what you do, you use a breadboard, you just plug in this one. Once you are done, you unplug. You can work on another project in maybe next time. Yeah, so you have to understand a breadboard, and a breadboard inakanga tricky, lakini kuimaster lazima you work on it kila time, you practice, because if you don't understand how a breadboard works, you will have a long way to go. So it has columns, iko na rows. Let me just niwaoneshe tu kidogo. It's very simple by the way. Yeah, nice. So like for example, una plug in hapa, alafu una wire na these are called jump wires. Hivi unapeleka kuna Arduino hapa, saidia Arduino. Nice. Like for example, that is VCC. VCC is positive, you put it to either 3.3 ama 5 volts according to the rating. Hiyo next unapeleka kwa, kuna kitu ilitoka hapa, unapeleka next hapo kwa digital pin. Then this one you put to pin number 8. Then this one is ground. Ground you put to ground. We have 4 grounds, 3 grounds. Actually my circuit is complete. You can see the circuit is complete. Then you can make even a ruler, a digital ruler. Ukiweka hivi inaweza kuambia distance between here and there, kitu kama hiyo. Now you see. So what happens? Let's assume we want now to add another kitu kama LED. Unakuja unaongezea hapa, unaiwire maybe several LEDs. By the way, you can make a reverse parking, car reverse parking. Gari ikiwa mbali hakuna LED imewaka, ikikaribia 1 2 3 4 mpaka zote ikikaribia, then you can park there. Yeah, once you are done unatoanisha. Next time you can work on another project. Let me just show you. Actually amenisaidia. Kumbe kulikuwa na hii kitu. Now here unaona hizi vitu, tuko na tushimo hapa na tuko na shimo zingine hapa, enda hivi, si ndio? So you can see these ones ni hizo zinaenda hivi, hizi zinaenda hivi. Oh God, you're not supposed to write here. Nimekumbuka. So what happens? Ukiconnect hapa power, it will be available hapa pote. Hapa power, it will be available there. Here it will be available in those lines. So hizi tunaweza sema zinaitwa horizontal na hizi ni vertical. Sawa. So it's very simple. Hizo zina work ni opposite ya hizo. And for you to master by the way, for you to master, hizi zimechorwa, hii ni red, hapa kuna line ya red na imechorwa ikienda hivi, na hapa kuna blue. Na hapa inakaa A B C D E F. So hapa kuna break F G H I. Sawa. So hizi hata zinakuambia they are going this way and these ones horizontal. So hata usikram hizo zote, just cram moja hii. Hii ni horizontal, so ni opposite ya hii. So hizi ni vertical. Very simple. Kuna mtu ameelewa kitu? Very simple, but once you start working on it with it, you will understand more. So we have something else called a PCB. I'll show you an example of a PCB. There's a phone I made. Munikumbushe nikimaliza. There's a phone I made. So once you are satisfied with your project, now you can solder using a solder gun. But that one is a bit intermediate. Kama ugopi stima, unaweza solder, but it's very simple too. Using PCB, we have something called PCB stands for permanent, no? Permanent. But there is an interview nilienda ya shule fulani inaitwa Shirikachi Leva Patel Samaj School. Wakaniuliza unajua? Not really, because of T. Wakaniuliza what is PCB, nikamwambia printed circuit board. Akaniambia no, is it not power control board? Nikamwambia hapana. So it's a printed circuit board, but we have another one which is for simple inaitwa puff board, perforated board. Next, so is a breadboard. Nishasema hiyo. Next, you have to understand the resistors. We have different types of resistors. Resistors basically, but for you to get into robotics, it's very simple. You just need to understand hii kitu. Kama you can understand this one, you're good to go. What is this? Circuit, ndio. Which circuit? Circuit, just circuit. It's open. And then close inakaa hivi. If you can understand that, you're good to go. So we use a microcontroller hapa who control his circuit. So now, where was that? So let's assume we have 5 volts hapa and the LED is rated at 3.2 volts. Now you know if we close this switch itachoma hii LED, ndio? So what can we do to avoid that? We are supposed to use a resistor. A resistor, we normally put the resistor hapo kwa mahali kama hapo hivi. And now we have different values. We have 10 ohms, we have 100 ohms, we have 220, ziko mingi 330 ohms. We have even 1K, 4.7 ohms, kilo ohms. We have 10 kilo ohms. Ndio. So now for an LED it's recommended utumie hizi mbili kama una power it using 5 volts. Na what will happen ukitumia hii 10 ohms? What will happen? Inaweza chomeka, si ndio? Juu it will not resist. Actually resistor it just resist power reaching to the module. But now what will happen if you use 10K? It will be dim ama it will not light because it will resist much. Maybe hapa itakuwa nafika kitu kama 1.2 volts whereby the LED is expecting at least 3.2. So next you can use color coding, but for me I don't know colors. I usually use multimeter. Next yeah, LED. Basically you need to understand what is LED, how does it work. LED is just light emitting diode. It's the basic. Yeah, this one, it's the basic. Actually the first project we build, it's called LED blink. Turn on LED, off, on for 1 second, off. If you can do that, you can do anything in Arduino. So LED, it has two terminals, positive and negative, whereby positive is the shortest. Positive is the shortest. The long one is positive. Very nice. Ni gani kwani? Gani, which one is a positive? Anode. Flat. Kwa simu hiyo flat iko. So okay, napenda kuchanganya my students. Okay, the long one is a positive, the short one is a negative. There's another one, another way to identify. The flat one is the negative, ndio. There's another way even, kuna ingine inakaa flag. The flag is negative. Then we have another way of identifying using a multimeter. Hiyo watu wengi wajuangi, using a multimeter. So basically that one is what you are going to use. Next, specifications 2 to 3 volts, current ni 20 milliamperes, two polarities, positive and negative. Next, alafu you have different colors. Ultrasonic sensor HCSR04, tushaongelea hiyo. You can make dustbin nini. Okay, the working principle, you have to understand how does it work. By the way, you need to block hizo nini mbili zote. Huwezi block moja na iwork, si ndio? Actually inatumia in physics form 2 book 2 KLB page 116 chapter 18 chapter 8 chapter 8 inaitwa waves 2 ndio alikuwa na explain. Mimi niko na vitabu za physics za high school zote, book 1 to 4. Yeah, you'll understand how it works actually. Ama niwaoneshe niwaoneshe. Twende next to. Ningewaonesha kuna formula ama acha niwaoneshe how it works. So it has, hebu chukua hiyo nini uangalie, it has T and R. Unaona? Ultrasonic sensor. Moja imeandikwa T na nyingine R. T inamaanisha transmitter, R stands for receiver, right? So what is ultrasound? Ultrasound ni sauti yenye huwezi sikia. Ni sauti yenye ndio wape waone. huwezi sikia, lakini some animals like a dog, which other animal, bat and dolphin, si ndio? So wanaweza sikia high frequencies, so it will make some sound, ita produce some sound, si ndio? Then this one is the receiver, it is listening, sawa. And that sound, let's assume ikuje ipatane na obstacle hapa, it will be reflected to bounce back to the receiver, sawa. Then let me ask, what is the speed of according to page 216 KLB? Sasa it was 217 juu 216 na introduction ilikuwa hapo mbele, si ndio? So according to page 216 book 2 KLB with 2, so chapter 8, what is the speed of hapo ndio nakushikia speed of sound au shule hiyo siku. So speed of sound actually in physics inaitwa velocity. Speed, hakuna kitu inaitwa speed in physics. Velocity equals to 340 meters per second. So haya, okay, in math, acha tunawapeleka in math, speed equals to distance over time, ndio? Haya, sawa. What is distance? Equals to speed times time. Sasa what happens, the ultrasonic, acha tuongelea about bat. A bat will produce that sound, alafu from that moment it will produce the sound, ianze kuhesabu 1 2 3 the seconds mpaka isikie, alafu ina cut. Kama imeisikia after 3 seconds i cut hapo. So according to that itatafuta the distance. Wacha niwaoneshe. So in physics, distance, okay, speed, velocity equals to 2d over t. Why 2d? Hii ni distance na hii ni distance, so ina multiply by 2, si ndio? According to page 118 218 sasa. So now here we have 340 meters per second equals to 2d over t, making what subject times t, si ndio? So itakuwa ni 340 t equals to 2d, yeah, divide by 2, so hii ni 170, si ndio? 1 so d equals to 170 t. Basically, actually what happens, a bat, this is the formula walikuwa nafanya hivi, page 219, si ndio? So so bat knows this formula, so it will take this 3 seconds na alafu i replace hapo times 3, so 170 times 3 ni 340 plus 170, sawa. So it will know that is the distance in meters, then it can convert to kilometers ama other variables, sawa. Tuendelee next. Next, okay, servo motor is basically an actuator for sweeping, maybe for if you want to make an smart dustbin, it will have ultrasonic sensor and servo motor for opening and closing. Next, actually servo motor can rotate from 0 to 180, but we have other continuous servo motors. We have DC motor. You know what is a DC motor for a robot? If you want to make a robot like that one, we have DC motor like that one. It's we have brushed, we have brushless. Yeah, the rating kama ile yake ni I think 12 volts. We have even for 6 volts. Next, relay. Tumongelea relay. So relay is very simple, and actually there is a question aliuliza lakini hamkujibu vizuri, sijui kama baadaye mlijibu. So relay is basically, it will isolate. So you see these wires zinaenda kwa Arduino microcontroller. Arduino is 5 volts tolerant, but you want to switch hizi taa za 250 volts AC, na Arduino actually is DC 5 volts. You know hiyo difference kubwa. Unaona the difference is huge. So what you do, unatumia in isolate. Hapo ndani kuna na electromagnet. So hiyo iko KLB Physics Book 2 Chapter 1 inaitwa magnetism. Page so what happens, akituma high signal itakuwa na relay which will attract something armature which will connect this pin and this pin. Sawa sawa. Next we have some sensors like this one is called a DHT11, which is for temperature and humidity, and the range is 0 to 50 degrees Celsius for temperature, humidity 20 to 90%. Yeah. Next, LCD. Actually, this is where the juice starts, because unaweza andika jina yako hapo. The moment umeandika tu jina yako imerana hapo, utafurahia sana. We have other LCD which are even this one is 16 by 2. We have 20 by 4, 64 by 128. We have other advanced which are called OLED displays, inakaa vizuri. Tuko na zingine hata touch. Yeah, I'll show you. If you follow me on TikTok, you'll see them. Next, finally, so hizi slides zilikuwa za high school fulani. Iko sia inaitwa near gas. So you can make a smart dustbin, automatic plant watering, motion alarm, line following robot, things like those. Ndio. So I think kuna ingine hapo mbele. Hakuna. Thank you. So where you can learn. By the way, you can take a photo ama you do what? You can write down. These are places where you can learn about Arduino. We have Arduino official, Arduino foundation. You just need to type arduino.cc. 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 Hivi tu. .cc. That is the official website. There's a guy called Paul Makota. Huyu jamani mnoma anakuwa na tutorials. We have another one called Dronebot Workshop. There's another guy called Great Scott, na iko na exclamation mark. Then electronics. Next. Yeah, and also you can be able to, let's assume you don't have money to start tinkering ama making your Arduino projects. You can go to Tinkercad. Actually, these are called online simulators. You can even design the circuit hapo. Then from there you can test that circuit. In fact, you can test the circuit. In the next session nitaonyesha kidogo. We have Tinkercad circuits. We have walkwe.com. Yeah, maybe somewhere where you can learn from projects. We have Instructables. We have Hackstart.io, Arduino project hub. Actually, it's under Arduino.cc. Next. Yeah, and also let me just take around 3 minutes to talk about my company. What we do. Actually, it's called ArduinoXrobotics.com. Maybe you have seen some videos. It's a company whereby we engage community to come up with their innovations, like for example robots. Basically, we deal with robots. Xrobotics is derived from two words which are extra and botics. Who can guess what the two names are? Xrobotics. Xrobotics. X. Hapo hakuna mahali imeandikwa. Umefikiria? The first person to get it right. Extraordinary robots. Yeah, extraordinary robots. Whereby we get people to build robots to compete against other robots. And actually, we are the first in Kenya to have such a thing. Whereby, number one, actually, it used to be called soccer bots, whereby people could build their robots. Then they bring the robots to play football. You know what is soccer? Majua, they call it soccer, to play football against other robots. I'll show you some videos in the next session. And then people suggested we have several other categories, like for example, maze solving bot. You know, a maze, like a complicated path whereby you place your robot here, then it should solve that path, that maze. We have other one like sumo bot. You know what is sumo? We draw a circle, then the robots should try to push each other outside that circle. The last robot standing will be the winner. We have another one called battle bots. The robots are fighting against each other. We have another one called balloon compact league. Robots are like they do what? They pop each other's balloon. Yeah. So, and some people have been even here. I've seen them coming to my events. So I want to welcome you. The next event will be on 18th next month, April. So you can come. If you don't have a robot, you can come. You can hire a robot there, or you can start building. We have a WhatsApp community. It's called the Robotics community there. You can join. We usually post tutorials. If you have any challenge, we can even help you. I have a workshop in also around near Allsops, along Outer Ring Road. You can even visit. I can help you to build your robot. Sasa, what else? There's a guy called okay, on TikTok. You can follow me at Mr. Arduino. There's a guy called Tronic Zinergy. Also, is a partner. He usually does pure electronics. Unaona kitu kama hii, this is a transistor ama nini? Yeah, transistor BC558. It's an alternative inakuwa 547. So you can even build an inverter using the transistors. You can build something called shift registers. Anatengeneza hizi vitu like an elaborate what they do. Is called Electronic Synergy on TikTok, and also my website is xrobotics.com. Sasa, is there any question? I think hebu finya hapo mbele tuone kama kuna thank you ama kuna nini. Physical, yeah, this is very important. Where can you get to buy? Actually, this was my problem. While I was starting tinkering with Arduino. So I didn't know the shops. Yeah, so you can buy the kit itself instead of buying one by one. But for me, I never bought the kit. Nilianza tu kidogo kidogo. Is there any question about Arduino, about the component? Yes. Breadboards is it 150 to 200? Hizi vitu they are very cheap. Actually the most expensive thing kwa hiyo kit ni hii ni 1500, lakini kuna zingine za 1200 bado zinawaka, hakuna kitu imepita hapo. Hizo zingine ni so mbili. So like for example this one is 150, this one is for 400 for 15. What else? Okay, unajua hizi hazikuji, hizi alibai kando, but hii ni 500 kama ukugongwa. Unajua ukugongwa pia ni constant. So what is this? Hii ni ile ya ku change from C to DC, si ndio? sijui ni how much, but ilikuja na kit. So most of the components they are, even LEDs is maybe if you buy one kuna LEDs ukijua mashimo ni 1 bob, resistor ni around 5 bob or 10 bob. They are very cheap. Yeah, but basically you just get started. Kama una do kabisa na unataka kuanza, enda kwa online Tinkercad walkway.com, then start tinkering. Any other question? Hakuna swali. So yes.
Maybe
So you can learn actually easy video. Oh, by the way, it's a good question. You can learn from somewhere called but this one can come as a last option, but it's still okay. So you can learn basically programming you can learn from sasa acha nichukue hii call. Hello, poa. Ingia. Yeah. Sawa. Just sawa. So basically what you can do, you can learn through there's a site called w3schools.com. W3 schools. Actually, from this site you can learn any programming language you are thinking about, like for example C++, Python, for free. Another site you can learn from, it's called actually for me I learned from Coursera. Sijui kama bado iko. There's another one called Khan Academy. Academy. Actually, I was using these two. I don't know this kama iko bado. Khan Academy.
Yeah, you may like Duolingo. Not in a text steps. Kama you want to learn coding in a fun aspect kama Duolingo. There's a site called Cody.tech.
Cody.
E-O-D-D. Y. .tech. Yeah. Ile aspect ya Duolingo kwenye kutaalamu language kupitia inakupeleka such steps for questions and it's free.
It's an application.
Yeah, it's a website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. So basically you can learn from the sites, but I can recommend YouTube. So these are people who are joining. Ella, kuja LH008. LH008. Acha mtu akuchukua hapo chini. Kuna mtu anakuchukua chini? Hapo chini umeingia uko wapi? Ingia ndani, ingia kwa gate huko ndani shule. So YouTube I told you kuna hizo Paul Makota, easy. I can recommend these sites. Sawa. Yeah. youtube.com, but kabisa kama uwezi elewa hizo, we have some people si kupenda kwao, but shule ile msee anakuambia haizi learn YouTube anataka tu mtu amfunze. Here I am. I have a site called Extrabotics Academy. Actually, we are rolling it out. It's on extrabotics.com, whereby you can book for physical classes and online classes. Yeah, and also sometimes I usually post some tutorials on TikTok for free, but it's only consistent because TikTok doesn't pay me. Ni juzi tu nilitoa $2.1 kwa TikTok, sijui ilitoka but iko kwa PayPal. So if you want to learn, you book a session with me for only 2,000 shillings per month for online sessions, but also for physical sessions tutaongea, and then you'll be able to learn hands-on. Sasa but basically the best way to learn is through hands-on. You get the circuits and you start tinkering. Yes. C++, because number one, you can't code Arduino without C and C++. Number two, C++ is not a bad programming language. You know that it's even modern than other programming languages. There's a language called C#. C#, you know C#. C#, actually, hello world. Number one, the first project, a program you have to code, the first code in any programming language is called. Haya. Do you know hello world ya C# ni how many lines? Ni lines mingi sana kama 5, because okay, kitu kama like for example you want to output maybe a string, you have to convert console.writeLine convert I don't know what. But now for example for Python is a good language. It's just print then hello world. Yeah, so basically number one, the reason why me sijongi hizo debates the programming languages, but basically C++ I like it because it's very simple for you to learn, and also for building for working with Arduino you have to understand how C++ works. And then another reason inagongana, we have some of the programming languages which end in semicolon. These programming languages like JavaScript, they are very good because you can let's assume you have how many lines of code? You have 1,000 lines of code. Do you know you can write them in one line? Shamaliza hivi unaandika the next hapo. But for Python, for you to debug Python, let's assume ni ulifaa kuwa unaanza hapa, inaweza kucost sana indentation. Yeah, so yeah, Rust. So we have Rust. Yeah, you can use Rust. Actually, there's a club in UON for Rust. Nakwanga member, but wakongi consistent. Sometimes I usually go. I had already started learning Rust, but sijui mbona the motivation ilisha. But you can use Rust to do robotics. Yeah, it's very possible. But at least just know the basic kwanza. Ukishafika mahali umefika yenyewe unaona Arduino anything you can do, now you can start learning Rust. Sindio? Also Python, you can use it for Raspberry Pi, that is a bit advanced. Yeah, but basically for Arduino it's C and C++, and not C and C++ directly. It's Arduino programming language. Actually Arduino is programmed using Arduino programming language, which is different from C and C++. For real, for different sana. Because C++ ni kama nini? For example, ni kama physics. Physics is not maths, ndio. But tunaona tumeandika ile formula hapo using maths concepts. But the formula is for physics. You can see we have velocity, that is not speed. Tunaandika speed, ndio. So basically, C++ is just the structure of Arduino. They borrowed some concept from C and C++. But once you have learned C++, now you